Today's video is on writing algebraic expressions. This is a handy skill when trying to solve word problems. What you can do is translate the word problem, the phrases in the word problem, into an algebraic expression to help find the unknown value. It's important to know some key vocabulary for addition: added to, plus, sum of, more than, increased by, total of, and these all mean that you're adding. Subtraction, subtracted from, minus, difference of, less than, decreased by, fewer than, take away. These are all key phrases that you should become familiar with and relate them to subtraction. Multiplication, these are more obvious: multiplied by, times, product of, twice, of. These are all indications of multiplication. I know we talked at length in class about how of means multiply when relating to a part of a whole, like half of 7 or 20% of 19. These are all phrases that tell you should multiply. And then finally, division, divided by, or quotient of. Going to do some examples to help you to understand. And we start with the word plus. Obviously, 3 plus x would just translate to 3 plus x. Whereas 7 minus g, 7 minus g. The sum of d and 6, when you use an answer keyword like sum, product, quotient, or difference, the order that it's given is the order you should go. So you see the first term is d, and the second term is 6, and we need sum means plus. 10 less x. That's a little bit of a confusing one. Not a phrase that's used very commonly. Generally, I might say I earned $60 less the $10 it costs to buy supplies. So it's not used that often, but it is used. And again, the order that it's provided is the correct order to write it. Difference, it's another one of those key words. The first term is x, the second is 12, so it's going to be x minus 12. Increased by, 8 increased by x, 17 decreased by g. You'll notice that when I've written my variables, they're always written lowercase. That's crucial when writing out variables. It's important when we talk about multiplication that there are 4 ways to show multiplication in an algebraic expression. The best way is known as a coefficient, and you don't use an operation sign. We talked about this in the last video. This number 5 right here, this is a coefficient. It tells you that there are 5 x's. So, whatever the value of x is, there's 5 of them. You could use the multiplication dot or parentheses. This is not a good plan because clearly it's hard to tell which means multiplication and which is a variable. In actuality, the coefficient 5 would tell you 5 times x if you thought both of these were variables. We've really got to be careful here. Also, it's important when using a coefficient that you lead with the number. The coefficient is the number that goes first. So you would say 5b, not b5. A good way to remember that is the correct way, 5b, would be like saying, I have 5 biscuits, whereas the incorrect b5 would be like saying, I have biscuits 5. An additional situation is we run into some other multiplication phrases. Again, we talked about of. That would mean 1/2 times 1/4. 3 times x. You could write it like this, but the best way would be the coefficient. Now 7 multiplied by g, same thing, 7 times g, or ideally 7g. Now the product of d and 6 kind of gives you a special way to deal with this. If you want to lead with the d, because product is an answer term, you can. But then you'd have to write the multiplication dot. But if you'd like to write this as I'm sorry, that was supposed to be a 6. If you'd like to write this as a coefficient, you would still need to lead with the number 6, even though it's not the order it's provided, because that's the only way you write coefficients is the number first. 10 divided by x could be written with the standard division sign, or you could do 10 over x. That would also mean 10 divided by x. Same thing with the quotient of x and 16. Again, the order. X is your first term, 16 is your second term, and in this case, x over 16 would also mean x divided by 16. The big concern I have are what I refer to as troublemakers. This is not in any way a real math term, but less than, more than, added to, and subtracted from can cause a lot of confusion when translating phrases because they actually switch the order of the terms. So in the case of 5 more than s, it actually means s plus 5. 6 less than r actually means r minus 6. 7 added to t actually means t plus 7. And 9 subtracted from q actually means q minus 9. So again, be careful with those variables. So you know that S could look like a 5 if I made it uppercase. That Q could look like a 9 if I made it uppercase or made it too large. So be aware of that. But these troublemakers where it switches the order, you've really got to be aware of. We're going to do some examples to kind of help practice. 5 less than 8 would actually mean 8 minus 5. The total of 6 and 10, clearly 6 plus 10. 28 divided by 7, 28 divided by 7. 17 added to 15. Added to is a troublemaker, 15 plus 17. 13 subtracted from a number x. Now this is our first algebraic expression, and they're giving you the variable to use. So it's x minus 13. The quotient of 18 and a number a. They're giving you the variable. Again, this is an answer question, so 18 divided by a. And 7 increased by the number w. 7 increased by w. Very good. And then our last couple of examples, the sum of a number, y and 4, so that'd be y plus 4, twice the number z. That means 2 times z, and the best way is in the coefficient format. The product of 3 and 12, 3 times 12. Obviously, you can't just write the 3 and the 12 next to each other because there's no variable. And yeah, that would look like 312. We know that this value is 36. 3 fewer than 18, 18 minus 3. 5 times the number d, definitely want to use the coefficient here. The difference of a number s and 6, that would be s minus 6. The number b squared, you've got to use your exponent knowledge here, b to the second power. The difference of 12 and a number x, 12 minus x. And then a number t cubed. And again, you should remember from our exponent lesson that cube means to the third power. All right, so that should sum up everything you need to know for writing algebraic expressions. You definitely want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the key vocabulary so you know what operation is being done, and be very aware of those numbers that I refer to as troublemakers that require you to change the order. Thanks for sticking around till the end.